Tonight, a scary warning about ghost charges that could appear on your credit card or your bank accounts.
That's right. So the Better Business Bureau says that one victim charged.
If you have a bank account, this could happen to you tomorrow. A mother of 5 answered what looked like a legitimate text from her bank and watched $5,000 vanish in minutes.
Snatched away from me. It's devastating due to the fact that I'm a parent of 5. $5,000 is just not growing on a tree.
She didn't click any sketchy links. She didn't fall for a Nigerian prince. Just one convincing message and one phone call. That's all it took. This scam is spreading fast, and most people won't see it coming until it's too late. In this video, I'll be breaking down exactly how it works and how to protect yourself. Don't skip this. Your savings might be on the line. The $5,000 call, when a fraud alert became a financial trap. It all started with a message that looked like it was trying to help. That's what set the nightmare into motion. Rodrina Horton, a mother of 5, received a text alert warning that suspicious activity had been detected on her bank account. For most people, that kind of notification triggers immediate concern. If someone might be stealing from your account, the instinct is simple: act fast and stop it. That instinct is exactly what scammers are counting on. Rodrina used an online banking service called Chime. So when the alert appeared to come directly from that bank, she had no reason to doubt it. Moments later, her phone rang. The caller ID looked legitimate. It appeared to be the bank itself. She answered. On the other end was someone claiming to be from the bank's fraud department. The voice sounded calm, professional, and confident. They told her that fraudulent activity had been detected involving a transaction in Dallas. At that moment, everything felt believable, and that's when the trap quietly snapped shut. Here's the detail that made the call even more convincing. The person on the phone already knew information about her account. They knew about her recent transactions. They knew details about a card purchase she had just made. They even knew which bank she used. To Rodrina, it sounded exactly like a real fraud investigation. After all, how could a scammer know that much? But the scary thing is criminals of today often know far more than people expect. According to the Identity Theft Resource Center's 2023 data breach report, more than 353 million individuals were affected by data breaches in the United States in 2023 alone. That exposed personal information includes phone numbers, email addresses, and sometimes partial banking details, data that scammers buy and sell online to build convincing attacks. And once scammers have that information, they can construct a story that sounds frighteningly real. Rodrina believed she was talking to someone trying to protect her money, but in reality she was speaking to someone preparing to take it. At some point during the call, the scammer guided her through steps that seemed like standard security procedures. Nothing felt suspicious in the moment. The caller spoke with authority, using language that mimicked real bank representatives, but while she believed she was protecting her account, the opposite was happening. Within minutes, $5,000 disappeared from her bank account. By the time Rodrina noticed the warning signs, it was already too late. Her savings were gone. Think about what $5,000 means to the average family. That's rent for 2 months. That's a car payment for half a year. That's groceries for an entire season. For Horton, it was money she simply could not afford to lose, and it was gone before she even had a chance to process what had happened. Losing that amount instantly turned into a financial emergency, and unfortunately, situations like this are becoming more common every year. The Federal Trade Commission reported that Americans lost more than $10 billion to fraud in 2023, the highest amount ever recorded, with bank impersonation scams becoming one of the fastest growing tactics used by criminals. Rodrina immediately contacted the real bank and filed a police report. She also reached out to the Better Business Bureau. But then came the second devastating blow. Her fraud claim was denied. According to law enforcement experts, once money moves through certain types of transfers, recovering it becomes extremely difficult, sometimes impossible. That's the part most people don't realize until it happens to them. Because by the time victims understand what actually happened, the scam has already finished its job. And the worst part? The phone call that started everything wasn't random. It was part of a carefully designed scam that's spreading across the country. And it works because it manipulates one powerful emotion: urgency. And understanding that tactic is the first step to seeing the scam for what it really is. This scam has a name, and it's more organized than you think. Most people picture scammers as lone wolves hunched over a laptop in a dark room. The reality is far more unsettling. What targeted Rodrina Horton has a specific name, a bank impersonation scam, and it operates more like a coordinated business than a random crime. There are scripts, there are roles, there are tools specifically designed to make you believe you are talking to your bank. And right now, it is one of the fastest growing financial crimes in the United States. Here is how the operation actually works, and why it is so difficult to spot in real time. It starts long before the victim ever receives a text or a phone call. Scammers spend time building a profile on their target. They know which bank you use. They know your phone number. They may even know your recent transaction history. None of this information was handed to them. They purchased it, harvested it, or tricked someone into giving it up without ever realizing it. By the time they contact you, they are not guessing. They already have enough to sound completely convincing. The first weapon in their arsenal is something called spoofing. This is a technology that allows scammers to disguise the phone number they are calling from and make it appear as though the call is coming from a completely different number, including the official number printed on the back of your debit card. So when your phone lights up and you see what looks like your bank's fraud department calling, that display means absolutely nothing. It can be faked in seconds. And this is where millions of people get caught off guard every single year. The second weapon is data. According to the Identity Theft Resource Center, there were 3,205 data breaches reported in the United States in 2023 alone, a 72% increase over the previous record set in 2021. That means hundreds of millions of personal records, including names, phone numbers, email addresses, and partial banking information, are floating on the dark web right now. Scammers buy this data in bulk for as little as a few dollars. Your information could already be in their hands without you ever knowing it. The third weapon is phishing, and not the kind most people think of. Beyond fake emails, scammers now use fake websites that mirror real banking portals almost perfectly, fake SMS links that harvest your login credentials the moment you tap them, and even fake customer service numbers that rank in Google search results above the real ones. One wrong search, one tapped link, and your information feeds directly into their system. Once they have your number, your bank, and enough transaction details to sound legitimate, the call begins. And from that point forward, everything is psychological. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, business and personal financial fraud cost Americans $12.5 billion in 2023, with impersonation scams ranking among the top 3 categories by victim loss. These are not amateur operations. They are sophisticated, rehearsed, and devastatingly effective. Understanding how they build the trap is the first step to never walking into one. But first, you need to understand exactly how they spring it. The exact moves scammers make once they have you on the phone. Most people assume they would recognize a scam mid-conversation. They wouldn't. And that's not an insult. It's the reality of how precisely these calls are scripted. Once a scammer has you on the phone, every single thing they say and do is calculated to move you closer to one outcome, transferring your money or handing over access to your account. Knowing their exact playbook is the only way to recognize it in real time before it's too late. The first move is establishing authority. The caller introduces themselves with a full name, an employee ID number, and a department title, usually something like Fraud Prevention Specialist. These details sound official because they are designed to. None of it is verifiable in the moment, and scammers know you won't try. The fake credentials do one thing: they make you feel like you are in safe, professional hands. This is where most victims relax. And that is exactly when the scammer moves to step 2. The second move is creating a deadline. You are told that fraudulent transactions are actively processing on your account right now, and that you have a very short window to stop them. This manufactured urgency is deliberate. It eliminates the one thing that would save you time to think. They may tell you that hanging up will cause the transfer to go through, keeping you locked on the line and isolated from anyone who might talk you out of what comes next. The third move is the ask. This is where they request either a one-time verification code sent to your phone, your online banking login credentials, or a transfer of funds to what they call a secure holding account while the fraud is being investigated. Every one of these requests leads to the same place: your money leaving your account and landing in theirs. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Americans lost $2.6 billion specifically to imposter scams in 2023, with bank transfer and payment scams accounting for the largest share of those losses by dollar amount. Once that transfer is approved or that verification code is shared, the window to recover your money slams shut almost immediately. What happens in those first few minutes after the scam completes? That's the part nobody talks about. The clock starts the moment your money moves. Here's why recovery is so hard. The second that money leaves your account, a race begins. And right now, the scammers are winning it. Most victims spend the first few minutes in disbelief, replaying the conversation, looking for the moment it went wrong. But those minutes are the most critical window you will ever have to recover what was taken. What happens to your money in the seconds after a fraudulent transfer is something your bank's customer service representative will never fully explain, and it is the real reason so many claims get denied. Here is the brutal truth about how fast money moves. When a scammer instructs you to transfer funds, whether through Zelle, a wire transfer, or a peer-to-peer payment app, that transaction can settle in under 60 seconds. Unlike a credit card charge, which has a built-in dispute window, bank transfers are treated as authorized transactions the moment you approve them, because technically you did approve them. The fact that you were manipulated into doing so is where the legal gray area begins, and where banks like Chime draw the line on reimbursement. This is the detail that devastates victims long after the money is gone. Rodrina Horton did everything she was supposed to do after realizing she had been scammed. She called Chime immediately. She filed a police report. She contacted the Better Business Bureau. Her fraud claim was still denied. Her experience is not an outlier. According to a 2023 Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations report, major U.S. banks reimbursed only 47% of Zelle fraud claims filed by customers, meaning more than half of victims walked away with nothing. If the money is transferred internationally, the situation becomes even more dire. FBI Special Agent guidance consistently notes that once funds cross international borders and are withdrawn as cash, the realistic probability of recovery drops to near zero. The faster you act, the better, but acting fast requires knowing that something is wrong while it is still happening. That is a nearly impossible standard when the scam is designed to keep you calm, cooperative, and on the phone until the transfer fully clears. Knowing what to do in the immediate aftermath could be the difference between recovering your money and losing it forever. And that exact step-by-step response is what comes next. What you must do in the first 24 hours. After a bank scam, most scam victims spend the first hours after an attack in shock, replaying the conversation, feeling embarrassed, wondering if reporting it will even matter. That paralysis is understandable. It is also extremely costly. The actions you take, or fail to take, in the first 24 hours after a bank scam dramatically determine whether any of your money comes back. Horton filed a police report, called Chime, and contacted the Better Business Bureau, and still got denied. Here is what she likely didn't know to do. The first move almost no victim makes, and should. Call your bank and use these exact words: "I want to invoke my rights under Regulation E and file a formal error resolution request." Regulation E is a federal law under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act that legally obligates banks to investigate unauthorized transfers. Most frontline customer service representatives will not volunteer this. Saying it by name changes the nature of your complaint from a customer grievance to a federally mandated investigation. Search Regulation E dispute process, your bank name, to find the exact form your bank uses. The second step is to call your bank's ACH operations department, not general customer service. Ask specifically for an ACH recall request or wire reversal. These are back-end banking procedures that can sometimes freeze a transfer before it fully settles. General customer service cannot initiate this. You need the ACH or wire operations team directly. Most banks have this department. Google your bank name, ACH operations phone number to find it. Third, file a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau at consumerfinance.gov/complaint. This is separate from ic3.gov and carries significant weight. Banks are legally required to respond to CFPB complaints within 15 days. According to the CFPB's 2023 complaint database, banking complaints that were escalated formally resulted in relief for consumers in 97% of closed cases. Finally, dispute the transaction in writing via certified mail to your bank's legal or compliance department, not a branch. A written dispute creates a legal timestamp that phone calls do not. Horton did everything the average person knows to do. These are the steps that go beyond average and the steps that could have changed her outcome entirely. The 5-minute setup that makes you nearly impossible to scam. Most fraud prevention advice sounds like this: be careful, stay vigilant, trust your gut. That is not advice, that is a wish. Real protection against bank impersonation scams requires specific settings, specific tools, and specific habits that most people have never been told about. The good news is that everything in this section takes under 5 minutes to set up. The bad news is that most people will read this and still not do it. Do not be that person. The first thing to do right now has nothing to do with your phone. Log into your bank account and locate the alert settings, not the general notification settings on your phone, but the transaction alert controls inside your actual banking dashboard. Enable real-time alerts for every transaction above $0. Most banks default this to $100 or higher, which means small test transactions scammers use to verify account access go completely unnoticed. Search your bank name transaction alert settings for the exact navigation path. This one change means you know about every single dollar movement the moment it happens. The second setup is called a verbal security password, and almost no one uses it. Call your bank directly using the number on the back of your card and ask them to add a verbal passcode to your account. This is a separate word or phrase that must be provided before any changes can be made to your account over the phone. It means that even if a scammer has your name, address, and last 4 transactions, they cannot authorize anything without that word. Search your bank name verbal security password setup to find out if your bank offers this. Most major banks do. Third, go to donotcall.gov and register your number if you haven't already, then download an app called Hiya or Truecaller. Both use live scam call databases to flag suspicious numbers before you even answer. Hiya specifically identifies spoofed bank numbers in real time. According to the Global Anti-Scam Alliance 2023 report, people who used call screening tools were 40% less likely to engage with scam callers than those who did not. The scam that took Horton's $5,000 relied entirely on her not having any of these barriers in place. One friction point, one moment of delay, and the entire operation collapses. Set up the friction before you ever need it. The warning signs that tell you it's a scam before it's too late. Here is something the FBI knows that most bank customers don't. Every single bank impersonation scam, regardless of how sophisticated it is, contains at least one detectable warning sign before the money moves. The problem isn't that these red flags are invisible. The problem is that victims are too emotionally activated to notice them in real time. Reading this section right now, while you are calm, is exactly the preparation that saves you when the moment actually comes. The first red flag is urgency that blocks verification. Any caller who tells you there is no time to hang up and call back is not from your bank. Full stop. Legitimate bank fraud departments will always, without exception, encourage you to hang up and call the official number on your card to verify the situation. In fact, real fraud specialists are trained to suggest this. The moment a caller creates a reason why you cannot do that, you are talking to a scammer. It does not matter how professional they sound or how many account details they know. The second red flag is any request involving a secure account. No bank on earth will ever ask you to move your money to a temporary holding account, a secure transfer account, or a protected wallet to keep it safe from fraud. This specific language, "we need to move your funds to protect them," is the single most common phrase used in bank impersonation scams nationwide. The moment you hear it, the call is over. Hang up immediately. The third red flag is a verification code request. When your bank sends a one-time passcode to your phone, that code is explicitly for your eyes only. Real bank employees are trained never to ask for it verbally, because their internal systems don't require it. A caller asking for that code is using it to authorize a transaction or access your account from their device entirely. According to Truecaller's 2023 U.S. Spam and Scam Report, 68.4 million Americans received a scam call in 2023, roughly 1 in 5 adults. Of those, the ones who recognized and acted on at least one red flag during the call avoided financial loss in the overwhelming majority of cases. Knowing the red flags intellectually is one thing. Having them memorized so deeply that fear cannot override them is what actually protects you when a scammer is on the other end of the line. Rodrina Horton lost $5,000 because nobody warned her in time. Now you have been warned. The scam is real, it is growing, and it is coming for everyday people with everyday bank accounts. But awareness is the one weapon scammers cannot defeat. If this video opened your eyes, drop a comment below. Have you or someone you know experienced something like this? Your story could be the warning that saves someone else. And if this helped you, hit that like button and subscribe, because protecting yourself financially starts with staying informed.